Back. In this video I'm going to show you how to use parameters to select a dimension from a list of dimensions. For this we are going to create a very simple bar graph first. In this bar graph, on the row side I'm going to show sum of total profits, and on the column side we will use a dimension. Now, for example, if I use subcategories, this is a bar graph that I get, but we want to make the choice of this dimension contingent on the user, so the user choice. So the user will select subcategory, then we will display subcategory here. If the user selects category, we should show category here, and this can be achieved using a parameter. So I will get rid of this, and let's start from the scratch. Let's create a parameter first. Click on the down arrow next to dimensions, select create parameter, give a name to your parameter. I'm going to call it select a dimension. This parameter is going to select a variable name, and so that's why it has to be a character variable or a string, and it will be a list. So we are going to give three options to people. They can either select segment or category or subcategory. Before we move on, I just wanted to highlight that this column display as is the column that is displayed to your user, and you have complete control on what you want to write there. In this case, the two columns are identical, but you can display whatever you want. Now we have a new parameter which we want to display. So click here and say show parameter control, which by default shows up on the right side here, but I want to drop it here. And now if I click on the down arrow, I should see my entire list. Our next task is to connect this parameter to the choice of dimension. For this we will create a new variable by clicking on the down arrow, select create calculated field, give a name, which in my case is simply selected dimension, and I'm going to use a function case when which works as a if then else type of a statement, but this one is easier to write. So you can say case, the name of the parameter, and then you say when. First is segment, so this is whatever the user selected. If they selected segment, then selected dimension should be equal to the variable segment. Similarly, we will have to write for the other two, which I have already written, so I'm just going to copy that from my text edit and going to paste it here, and we complete our code by typing N. The calculation is valid, so I go ahead and press OK. So we have now a new dimension which we are going to drag and drop in columns. Alright, as you can see that the first dimension that we selected is segment. So there are three customer segments in the data: consumer, corporate, and home office, and you can see that we have the total profit for each consumer segment shown on the bar graph. If you want labels on the bars, click on labels and select show mark labels. And also, if you just to make sure that we will always see these bars arranged in the descending order, you can click on this button I will show you a more relevant example. So suppose you select subcategory, you do not see this in any specific order. It is actually just alphabetical order. So we click here, and then everything is now in the descending order of profitability, and this now this ordering will be retained for any category, any dimension that you select. So if I go to category, it will also be in descending order. Finally, one last thing is that we see that the small title here is just as selected dimension, which doesn't make sense. So we will hide this field label, but we will make this header more informative. Click on the down arrow, and there is a first option which says edit title, which unfortunately is cut in this video, but you can click on it, edit title, and let's say total profit by, and this by is a dynamic part, so we will select parameters dot select a dimension, and that we insert here and say OK. So as you select a different dimension, the title should update automatically. As we see it, it is doing it. Alright, so that's all for today, folks. I hope that you understood this concept. Now you can actually extend this and apply the or create a new parameter to select different measures. For example, in our case, we have selected total profit as a measure, but you can also select discount or sales as other measures. So you will have now two parameters, one to select dimension, the other parameter will select your measures, and you can give your users more options. Thank you.